Go ahead and we'll get started. And I'd like to introduce myself. Lisa Fox was double booked today, so she is not able to be here, but I wanted to introduce myself to you. My name is Karen Miller. I'm the Executive Vice President for Manpower Central Iowa. We have been servicing Central Iowa for more than 60 years, and we're really excited about that. Actually, I have worked for Manpower for 12 years, but for 2 years in the Iowa market, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. For those of you who maybe aren't familiar with Manpower, we are a global staffing company. We're pioneers in the industry, and what we do is we partner with organizations throughout local, nationally, and globally to help them deliver workforce solutions so that they can meet their staffing goals, find the right top talent that they need to make their company successful. We also provide other human resources solutions, training, RPO, a variety of services are available to our clients in the marketplace. So we're pretty excited about what we have to offer. I'm also a member of the advisory council here with ABI, starting my second year on the board and very much enjoying that. So that's part of the reason why I'm here today. And thank you again for tuning in this morning. I know summertime is a busy time for everybody, but this topic I think is very relevant to most Iowa businesses, finding that right talent for the long term. So as we get started here, and do I change slides or do you change slides? Okay. Can I do that? There we go. Okay. So, thank you, Christy. As we begin today, actually, there's a few different things that I want to talk about. And first of all, some of you who may be familiar with Manpower may have heard the term the human age. Wanted to talk a little bit about the human age and the talent shortage and how the impact that has on hiring. Also wanted to talk about the top 10 jobs that are hardest to fill. And you probably are experiencing some of this with your organization. Then, most importantly, what we want to do is we want to talk about attracting and retaining talent for your permanent positions and what some employers are doing to win this challenge. So if you have questions as we go along, feel free to type in a question or wait till the end, whatever will work for you. We also have some polling questions, and we'd love to have you participate in those polls as well. So first of all, we'll start off with the human age and the talent shortage. Oh, I'm missing it was missing a graphic there, but we'll just jump right into the human age and really what the human age means. You know, we've gone through different cycles of business throughout the centuries. We had the industrial age, the bronze age, and each age was defined by the challenges of that era. Right now, with the way the marketplace and the global economy that we are living in right now, Manpower has defined the human age. And the human age really is a term that we use to describe the impact of individuals that they have on an organization. It's through our global experience, our extensive research, thought leadership, and local experience that have led us to understand the trends that impact the world of work. And right now, we're really seeing that those companies that have top talent are the companies that are successful and the companies that win. So what we'll talk about is just a brief overview of some of the world of work trends. Maybe some of these have impacted you and your organization. And then we'll take some polling questions here to find out what's been impacting you the most. So we'll talk about a talent mismatch here and what the talent mismatch means. You've heard that in the news quite a bit. You've seen, I know locally, I live in the Des Moines area, we've seen it in the Register, several articles about the talent mismatch statewide, the shortage of skilled labor. And so this is really what we're experiencing right now. As you take a look at the unemployment rates, where they're at, and the people the available candidate pool that are out there, they may not be matching the openings that you have within your organization. They might not have the right skill sets. So this is what we call the talent mismatch, where you've got a group of available candidates, but they don't match the needs of what your organization is looking for. So actually the talent mismatch itself, though, is deepening as the working age population declines, and the nature of the work changes. You can see the impact of the internet and technology and how that impacts the work that we're doing. So in order to be successful, organizations will need agile attraction and retention strategies. So you've got great people, you want to make sure you can keep them around. And you want to find those great people to join your organization. Critical skill shortages will accelerate the mobility of workers and work. So you may be attracting candidates from different parts of the country, from different parts of the state, from different parts of the world. There's going to be increased pressure to keep your older workers engaged longer because you don't want to lose the experience of the individual and what they know. And then organizations now are really going to have to focus on continuous training and development in order to keep their employees current and have them be more impactful as you move forward and as your organization changes. As you can see, this slide here really just demonstrates the working age population is shrinking. We've got the baby boomers who are retiring, and this isn't just a national problem, this is a global problem, so you can see around the world what's happening there. Another impact here is the rising customer sophistication requires our businesses to deliver the greater value and greater efficiency. Think about how your clients purchase products and services from you. So much of this is internet-based, and so much of the information that's available, they can tap in, find research results on your company, your organization, consumer reports and whatnot. So our purchasers, our consumers are a lot more sophisticated than they have been in the past, which means we as organizations need to be in front of that and deliver an impressive array of goods and services and responsive customer service levels. This also actually intensifies pricing structures and value compression. It puts pressure on our productivity. So we need to make sure that our talent is as effective as they possibly can be. Globally, I was just talking about this. Globally, we're a connected world. And you can research companies all over the globe. So your competition, I'm sure that you've seen what used to be maybe local competition now has turned into global competition. And what's important here too is the customers know and they'll expect more. Your problems become an issue overnight. With YouTube and the other resources and outlets out there, information goes viral in a matter of minutes or seconds. There's also a high level of transparency to what we do and how we perform as an organization. So which means we've got to make sure that we're very clean and consistent with the information that we deliver, and that we're auditing that. Another global force that's impacting the recruitment efforts out there as well too is the individual choice. We are finding, coming from the staffing industry, we're finding that individuals with highly sought after skills are not available for very long. If they express any interest in moving from their current position to looking at other possibilities, their shelf life, as we like to call it, can be in as little as a few days. So if you've got great talent within your organization, you want to make sure you're doing your best to keep them around. And likewise, if you've interviewed some top talent, don't hesitate to make hiring decisions because it's likely somebody else will be gobbling them up pretty quickly. Back in the day, we used to think that we could use the same recruiting strategies to attract all types of candidates. That's not the case anymore. Right now, because we have so many different outlets and ways to reach potential candidates, we really need to have a multifaceted approach to our recruiting efforts. So we really need to look at how we recruit differently. And we've got to think about one size fits one. So if you're looking for a particular type of skill set, you need to focus on where do I attract those candidates from. So we'll talk a little bit about that more later, but keep in mind, one size fits one. It's not one size fits all anymore. I talked a little bit about the technological revolution and the impact that the internet and technology has had on our organizations. Again, increased transparency. we've got to make sure that our organization is represented well in whatever outlet, particularly on the internet, because there's so much information out there that's either it can be accurate or it can be inaccurate. So you want to make sure that you're auditing that information about your organization. The unsubstantiated information increases that importance of our verification. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. If you take a look at this slide, I think what's most important is it matters less of what we know, but more about what we can find. Think about yourself and your own consumer practices. And when you're looking to make a purchase, how do you go about doing that? You probably hop on the internet and do your research. So it's the information that's available to you is going to be the major influencer. So likewise, in your recruiting efforts, information about your organization can be a determining factor as to whether or not a viable and a desirable candidate will apply to your organization. It matters less about what we do ourselves and more about how we collaborate with others. So from a recruiting standpoint, we'll talk about referrals, and that'll be coming up shortly, and how we connect with others in the community and how we connect with the types of candidates that we want to reach. It matters less how we look when we work and more about how much work we get done. Right now, we feel it across the globe. I'm sure you're feeling it within your organization as well too. Everyone talks about efficiencies, 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 and it's critical as we have to deal with pricing pressures and our budgets become tighter. It is critical that we've got highly skilled, highly effective, highly efficient individuals on our team. So it really matters how effective the staff is that you have. It matters less what skills we have mastered in the past and more about what we can learn moving into the future. And this, I think, is, you may have seen it within your organization. I know we've seen it in our organization and the clients that we recruit for. Oftentimes, and more as of late, I've had clients who have said to me, bring me somebody who's got 80% of the skills, but 100% of the right attitude, and I will train them the rest of the way. And that seems to be a message that's resonating within my organization, but it's something that we're hearing consistently over and over and over, locally, Central Iowa, state-wise, and then nationally and globally. It really is, are you hiring or do you have a trainable staff? So we have our first polling question here. And there we go. So if you, I will admit this is my first time with the polling questions, but we'd like you to go ahead. Which world of work trend is impacting your organization the most? Individual choice where they're deciding that they want to move to a new organization? Are your customers becoming more sophisticated and that's impacting your ability to attract candidates? Or have you been impacted by technology so much that it is creating some problems for you? So go ahead at this time, click on the radio buttons there to poll, put your poll. It's all confidential. We can't see who's selecting what. And Rob, I'll wait to hear from you as to when I should move on with this. I know we've got a few more people out there. But it looks like at this point, individual choice seems to be one of the biggest challenges or that people are encountering at this time. So, okay. Oops. All right. Well, we'll move on here. So, individual choice. Keep that in the back of your mind. Let's talk about what some of the hardest jobs to fill are. Patrick asks, are there any other votes? We can go back to that if people wanted to vote. I'd love to see what the rest of the results are. Okay, well, okay, the next question that we have out here is, are you experiencing difficulty in filling mission critical positions within your organization? Yes, no, unsure. Okay, we'll keep that open. We've got a couple of the votes coming in. Looks like right now, and there we go. All right, we'll wait just another minute here. Can you see that tally? Mm-hmm. You can? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, we've got a yes response and an unsure, and that could be depending upon what your role is within your organization. But if you did answer yes, you are certainly not alone, not at all. As a matter of fact, Manpower, every year we conduct a talent shortage survey, and we poll over 40,000 businesses to find out, asking them a variety of questions. And with this year's results, which we shared at the National SHRM Conference just a month ago, 49% of nearly the 40,000 employers that Manpower polled actually said that they had been having difficulty filling mission critical positions. It's down just slightly from 2011. However, I think in different parts of the country, hiring has slowed a little bit. We're seeing that, not necessarily in Iowa, but in other parts of the country, hiring has slowed down a little bit. So, but 49%, so half of you are having difficulty filling mission critical positions. So, okay, all right, and let's move on to, we've got another polling question there. So we're asking all sorts of fun questions here. We want to find out what's happening with you. And this one, for candidates that you've interviewed in the past year, have you found a lack of experience, technical skills, or soft skills have been the barriers for employability? Yes. And again, you are absolutely not alone with that. I don't know if we've got any other responses. Okay. So with this, we'll go ahead and we'll close this poll and we'll keep moving on here. But with our survey, actually we've had 44% of the employers that we had interviewed with our Manpower Group's talent shortage survey had said that lack of experience, lack of technical skills, lack of soft skills, and lack of available candidates were absolutely barriers for filling the positions that they had open. Lack of experience was 44% of the U.S. employers cited that was an issue, while 55% noted that technical skills and soft skills were the biggest issues. I think we're seeing the technical skills as a real issue within the state of Iowa. Again, we talk about our NCRC training that we've got, certification that we're working on. We're hearing various partnerships throughout the state trying to help individuals reskill going forward so that they can be what maybe they were working in one industry before, but now they want to consider a career in skilled trades. So getting them the available skills and training so that they can be viable candidates for the opportunities that we're seeing throughout the country or throughout the state. Okay. And we'll kind of pop through a couple. We had those there. This is our 2012 U.S. hardest jobs to fill. And you can see what's interesting is think about your own organization. Does this seem to hold true for your organization? You hear the unemployment numbers throughout the country, and Iowa is really kind of an anomaly. Our unemployment rates are nice and low, but we still are feeling that gap of the individuals who don't have the right skills necessary to fill the openings that we have. So right now, having the right people in the right place at the right time becomes more critical than ever. Take a look at this here, and you see skilled trades #1. That holds absolutely true for Iowa. I know from my experience with Manpower and the clients we work with, engineers, IT staff is very important in the state of Iowa. One difference that we might see versus the U.S. is the mechanics and the machinists would fall probably 4 and 5 versus the sales representatives and the accounting and finance staff. So very similar to the rest of the country. Our top 10 looks just about the same, but maybe in a slightly different order. So let's talk about how do we attract this top talent. I mentioned earlier that talent is really becoming the key differentiator for organizations right now. We all want to hire the right people and the right employees at the right time, but the talent mismatch and the skills gap are making it more difficult than ever for all of us. Finding top talent in a good economy is challenging enough, but it can be more difficult when economic conditions worsen and the number of people out of work increases. For recruiting and hiring managers, and I don't know what our attendees are, but what this translates to is an increased volume of candidates and mismatched talent to review and screen in order to find the right fit candidates. One statistic that I have heard from my clients is that it's about 1 out of every 10 applicants is even remotely close to what they need. I know that to be true just from the work that we do with Manpower and our screening process. So we go through quite a few candidates to find the right candidates for the clients that we're servicing. In many cases, we know that the individual skills don't match the required jobs, or when the skills do match, the individuals aren't located in our community or our town, or maybe they're an hour away, maybe they're across the country. So we're really seeing quite a few challenges. But bottom line, the key to success and the viability of your organization going forward is your ability to address some of these issues. How do you find the right talent? How do you overcome the demographic challenge and the geographic challenge, where they're located at or where your candidates are, to bring them into your organization? So we'll talk a little bit about how you can address some of those issues here. So some of the best practices for candidate attraction is take a look at your employer branding. We talked a little bit about the internet and the ability to reach candidates. And take a look at what your website looks like. Take a look at what some news releases. Take a look at the information that comes up about your organization. What does your employer brand look like? Are you top of mind? Do you have a good reputation? Glassdoor is one site that you might want to check out. That's an opportunity for former employees to comment on your organization. If you have a Facebook page, what's the feedback look like on your Facebook page? Are you a top place to work? How well do you treat your employees? Do you have from a branding standpoint, do you have an increased presence in the community? Do members of the community know who you are and know what your organization stands for? And is your work environment an environment where people like to come into every day? Are they proud of the company that they work for? Are they proud of their coworkers? Passive versus active candidates. Passive candidates those are the candidates that are already employed. And right now, really to find those, the companies I've talked with that are looking to find highly skilled, very specialized positions. What there aren't necessarily active seekers out there to fill all of the opportunities. And so from a recruitment standpoint, you've got to get creative and really work to try to find the passive candidates. So those individuals who are currently working somewhere maybe haven't really thought about making a career change or moving to a different organization, but if the right opportunity came along, they would consider it. So you'll have to put together a passive candidate strategy. The active candidates, we know how to handle those individuals. We know they're out there. They're the ones on the job boards, reading the newspaper, connecting with you on LinkedIn and whatnot. So those are the candidates that are absolutely currently looking right now, and those are probably the ones that you'll have to do a little bit more screening with. Keep in mind too that there's different motivations for the active and the passive candidates. So when you're reaching out to them, a passive candidate, you're probably going to have to do a little bit more of a sales job on convincing them that your organization is a great organization to work for, to woo them away from their current employer if they're online recruiting. Everybody typically is working with the online recruiting right now. It's a great spot, obviously, to recruit potential candidates. You've got access to a worldwide audience, and make sure that you're taking advantage of social and professional networking sites, blogs, job boards, things like that, if you want to reach out to very niche specific type candidates. Job boards and advertisements, again, they can be effective. We're finding that depending upon what market we're recruiting for, the newspaper is still a viable option for recruiting candidates. Job boards, we're finding a lot more success with LinkedIn and with Facebook to find candidates for us. And referrals, this is absolutely the #1 source for finding candidates. It's the most effective, most economical way is to have a good brand and have someone be proud of your organization, and people like to work together, prefer to work together. You want to work in an organization where everyone has the some additional best practices. Overlooked and underused talent pools. Don't forget young people. Oftentimes they don't possess the experience or the skills that companies need, but they can learn quickly. So take a more active role in being involved with schools and job fairs at the high schools, at the colleges and universities, the vocational training programs. Definitely do not overlook this audience. Older populations as well, easily retrainable, already have sound understanding of the workplace values and experience, and typically will have a great work ethic. So they're motivated and they really want to make a difference to organizations. Open houses and job fairs. When you have a lot of positions to fill, don't forget the open houses and the job fairs. They're great ways to bring a large volume of candidates to your company. It does require additional time spent screening the candidates after the fact, but it does give you an opportunity to get to meet a large group of candidates face to face. Professional associations and organizations, we talked a little bit about the community involvement, but make sure that you're involved, or whoever does the hiring or your hiring managers are involved with professional associations and organizations. If you're looking for a specific type of candidate for your organization, you need to make sure that you're mixing and mingling with those types of individuals. So what better place than a professional organization? And then, of course, talent resourcing companies, for example, staffing agencies like Manpower, another great resource. This is something that we do every day. So we are screening a multitude of candidates all the time for different types of positions. So don't forget to reach out to your local staffing firm. They might be able to help you out. One of the things I wanted to talk about too was retaining the top talent, and sometimes we take for granted those individuals who are currently on our staff, and it's a shame because these are individuals that have been loyal to us, and they understand our company, they understand our culture, and don't forget to make your current staff feel good about working for your organization and proud of working for your organization. The best practices for retaining candidates, really, and again, you want to make sure that you again have a company that your employees are proud to work for. You want to keep your best performers. You don't want to give them any reason to go somewhere else. Position your organization as a desirable place to work. Post your jobs internally on your website. Encourage your staff to look for career opportunities within your organization and be upwardly mobile. And then most importantly, though, because you've got these individuals who are part of your organization, make sure that you deliver on your employer brand and deliver on your promises that you make to your company. Offer an environment that rewards good performance and provides development opportunities. I've done a presentation on retention, and really one of the top motivators for individuals is development opportunities, mentoring opportunities if you're a senior individual, and rewards. Then money came in number 3. So, monetary rewards are great, but recognition for hard work and development opportunities, those were the number 1 and 2 motivations that employees have. Compensation. Again, it's on here as a best practice for retaining employees. Make sure that you are paying a competitive wage. Again, as the economy goes up and down, and you see individuals who maybe were a 2-income household, now they're a 1-income household. If you're an employer who pays under market, you're opening yourself up for a higher turnover rate, because individuals I have seen will move and take different opportunities, sometimes even 50 cents an hour. So take a look at that. Benefits. Make sure that you offer a comprehensive benefit package, medical insurance, dental insurance, vacation and sick pay. Vacation pay is huge for most employees. Everybody wants to be able to achieve that work-life balance, so having that time off is critical. So make sure you've got a pretty attractive vacation package. If you have a 401k, that's also a great retention tool. Tuition reimbursement is another opportunity for you. So make sure that you've got something to keep people around. I know pension plans in most cases are a thing of the past, but if you have the opportunity to offer something, that'd be great too. Often overlooked is the onboarding. And that is your first opportunity to make a great impression on any new hire. So make sure that you have got a good onboarding program that includes, a welcome for the individual, a introduction to different departments, a comprehensive training program, so that the individual walking in the door doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, it's sink or swim, I've got to figure it out on my own. So make sure that you've got a comprehensive onboarding program, one that outlines a 30-day check and a 60-day check and a 90-day check during that interim period, so that you can provide feedback to the individual as well too. And employee satisfaction. I'm not quite sure how many organizations have employee surveys, but this is a great way for you to gather information on how your employees feel about your organization. You can identify some gaps, you can identify training issues, you can identify communication issues, but it's a great opportunity for you to get the pulse of what's happening within your organization, to see if you're at risk for losing some of your top talent. Best practices, again, continued. Management. Employees don't leave companies, they leave their managers, and I don't know if you've all heard that before, but I have heard that over and over again. Make sure that your managers are individuals that employees would want to work for. I don't know if anybody watches Deadliest Catch, but I'm a huge Deadliest Catch fan, and I was watching that last night, and Elliot Neese, who is the captain of the Ramblin' Rose, so for those of you who are familiar with the ship, he's a young captain, and he thought life was great and that all of his deckhands really enjoyed working for him, and for sure they're all coming back. And At the end of the show, all of the deckhands said, well, good luck, good riddance, I'm never stepping foot back on this ship again. And all of the deckhands were incredibly disgruntled. So here's an example of making sure you know what the staff thinks of your management team. And there's resources available for your managers if they need help on communication and soft skills training and how to be effective leading a team. I know Manpower has a whole series of training for management and leadership skills. So, there's resources out there. If they're a great manager, or if they're somebody who you want to keep in a management experience, but they just need some rounding out. So, communication. Make sure that increasing employee retention actually starts with communication. Make sure you discover what's important to your employees, what motivates them, what meets their needs, and talk with them about that. Hold coaching sessions with employees, not just with those that are struggling. Offer career development training programs. Talk about career pathing with individuals so that everyone understands where they stand within your organization. That rolls right into the development. And again, as I mentioned, a retention webinar that I had done last year at this time was really talking about addressing the retention strategies, and top performers want to know that they'll have an opportunity to stick around. So make sure that you meet with them and lay out career pathing. They could become the most valuable employees of your organization, so don't underestimate the value of development and career pathing. And then recognition, of course. We want to make sure we're recognizing individuals. Find out, though, from the individual what kind of recognition they like. Again, is it, do they like private recognition via email? Do they want public recognition during a staff meeting? Find out what they like and what's important to them. Work-life balance, another best practice for retaining employees. Making sure that your organization has recognizes individuals when they put in a lot of extra time. Comp them on a day off, or kick them out of the office at 3 o'clock in the afternoon instead of 5. Let them know that you care about them and their families, and that balance is important. I know within our organization, vacation is, we're expected to use all of our vacation time because our organization knows it's a high-stress industry, and so we are strongly encouraged to use all of our vacation because we need that downtime, we need that break. So if you're within a stressful, if your company is a stressful working environment, make sure that you encourage your employees to take their time off. And then the last best practice for retaining candidates is culture. Make sure that your values, beliefs, attitudes, and history really become the rules for success within your organization, and hold people to living up to your culture. Okay, we have a polling question here. This one, I'm not surprised with the number of companies that I've met with and worked with. A lot of them don't have attraction and retention strategies. So if you don't have one, you're not out of the norm, but I'd just like to find out how many of you actually do have a retention strategy. We've got a yes, which is good, very good. And if you're out there, make sure you vote. Okay. We'll wait just another minute here. Well, if you do have a retention strategy, that's excellent, and an attraction strategy. If you're in a position where you can impact decisions about putting together a strategy, whether it's attraction or retention, I would strongly suggest, as the landscape for top talent becomes more competitive, that it becomes an initiative within your organization to take a look at how are you going to address attracting the right candidates and how are you going to retain your top talent. So definitely make sure that this is, if you take away anything, you want to keep the great people that you have, and then let's figure out how we can get the right people in the door for you. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll move on. Okay, so we talked about attraction and retention. Here's some other tips on how employers are winning at the race for talent. Think about your organization and what you're doing. Is your salary competitive? Again, being in the staffing industry and working with a variety of clients, whenever I hear an employer talk about a high level of turnover that we're experiencing, we typically will take a look at what their environment is like and their culture, and we'll take a look at what their pay is like. So if they're paying under market, and sometimes considerably under market, that's typically why they're seeing a high level of turnover. So make sure you do an analysis to find out whether or not your organization is paying competitively. Some other examples: annual bonus to all employees based on percentage of profitability. Sometimes it's called profit sharing. Some employers are doing the 100% employer paid benefits. They're offering creative perks like pet insurance, which actually astounds me, but it really is becoming such a popular item, is pet insurance. I've got 2 golden retrievers, so I know how expensive they can be. Health club membership is something that I see more often than not within organizations, and particularly within the state of Iowa. It's a great perk that employees love, and sometimes the motivation that they need to start working out is having that health club, either a portion of reimbursement provided to them or health club membership taken care of. Daycare is another great opportunity if you've got on-site daycare or some sort of daycare reimbursement. And a fun perk that I think is fantastic is the Friday pizza parties that I've heard companies have, and believe me, you know, a dozen pizzas goes a long way for employee morale. So those are or actually even for attracting candidates too, because you're thinking, hey, okay, this company, they really care about their employees when you talk about the fun little perks like that. Training. Again, my company, we interview thousands of people every single year, and a question that comes up often with our candidates is, does the company offer training? Do they offer training? What kind of training program do they have? So make sure that you offer ongoing training. As your organization changes, you're going to have to train your permanent staff to keep up with that. So make sure that that's part of what you have. Relocation is something that, especially for the mid to senior level positions, we're seeing this become a real big incentive for attracting candidates, is that relocation assistance. And sometimes it's not full paid relocation, but it is some assistance that's offered, particularly again in those highly skilled positions. And if you're attracting candidates statewide, nationwide, or globally, you likely will have to have some sort of relocation package put in place. If you don't have a relocation package, you could change that to a sign-on bonus to help cover the cost of relocation. Or again, some companies, just to attract their top talent, are looking at the sign-on bonus as an example to get candidates to consider their organization. Here are some recommendations for winning. And when you're working on your candidate attraction here, let me pop back here. We've got a few different suggestions here. Take a look at what your work models look like. Take a look at your people practices and what your talent sources are. So when we're talking specifically about work models, take a global look, a global perspective at how your work is done. If you're an organization that happens to be global, can the work that the work that you need to be completed, can that be handled by another source outside of your current location? Can it be a global source? could it be at one of your other locations throughout the world? Also, too, collaborate with associations, organizations, governments to build training programs. And Central Iowa Works, it has various programs in place. DMAC has programs in place. And partnerships that are being put together. I know Manpower is working with a couple other organizations. We've got some of our own initiatives, Project Ability, where we're working with individuals who have minimal disabilities or disabilities that have that are causing barriers to employment. Individuals who are highly skilled, but because of a disability, they maybe aren't necessarily considered candidates. Then also Project Iowa, which is part of the Central Iowa Works initiative, and working with individuals who, again, maybe have had some rough starts in their past, and are these individuals viable candidates for some of the opportunities that we've got out there? If they've gone through and completed a training program, a skilled trades training program, if they've gone through soft skills training, will employers consider them? So take a look at associations, organizations that can help you address some of your talent shortage problems. Think about using virtual work environments as well too. You know, how can the work that you've got be completed off-site or from someone's home office? Do you offer that as a potential candidate attraction tool that, you know, you can work a day or two from home, which really can be a perk for a lot of people. And then take a look at your work models. Are you all permanent employees within your organization, or do you have peaks where you could use some contract employees or temporary employees? And you might be able to tap into a broader range of skills by doing that. People practices, again, look at all the resources that are available to you to attract the right candidates. Staffing firms are a great opportunity for you, but then also take a look at developing your comprehensive workforce strategy. Rethink your philosophies on development and compensation. If you haven't done a compensation analysis within the last couple of years, maybe it's time that you do that. If you don't have a development and training program put in place, maybe it's time you consider putting that in place. Balance your push-pull methods of development and management, and then cultivate human age leadership skills. And again, remembering when we use the word human age leadership skills, we're talking about take a look at the potential of the individual and really tap into that. Talent sources. Again, tap into overlooked and underutilized talent pools. We talked about the youth. We talked about some of our more senior candidates that we've got out there. I just mentioned some individuals, or a couple of programs that Manpower is involved with to help individuals find work. So think about the overlooked and untapped talent pools. If it's possible within your organization, look at tapping into talent pools throughout the globe. Collaborate with associations, harness your big data effectively, and use social media to drive innovative thinking within your organization. Again, the referrals, build a Facebook fan page, take a look at LinkedIn, tap into your talent sources that way. And here's just some fun tips, as we come to the close here, of what you might want to think about when creating your workforce strategy, which will be critical for you. Know what you need, but be flexible. Define what you need within your organization, but be willing to broaden the scope of skills and talents you're looking for based on what's available. Consider redesigning jobs so they become more engaging for the people who are undertaking them. As I mentioned to you earlier, in my meetings with a lot of our clients that we work with, they'll say, give me somebody who's got 80% of the hard skills, but 100% of the soft skills or the right attitude, and we'll take them and we'll train them the rest of the way. The reality is, any new hire you bring on board, you will have to put through some sort of training program. Nobody will be a plug and play. It's just impossible. It's a different organization, a different culture. You've got to acclimate them to your organization. So when you're putting together your strategic talent acquisition strategy, make sure that you consider somebody who's got the transferable skills, which is our next bullet point here. So those individuals who maybe have the transferable skills, don't have 100% of the skills that you're looking for, but the right attitude, make sure you consider them as candidates for you. Hire for innate talents and be willing to invest in training. Again, I'm talking about the soft skills. Find a candidate with the right attitude, experience, problem-solving skills who's lacking certain certifications or skill set. Do what you need to get them on board and train them up the rest of the way. The in-house talent pool. Sometimes, people have been in their positions for quite a long time and you forget what their previous experience has been or what the previous exposure has been. And so it's important to put those career pathing and training programs in place so that you're constantly aware of what resources and skill sets you have available in your in-house talent pool. Give someone an opportunity to maybe take the next step, and you'll keep them for life. Make diversity a reality. Think about, make sure your organization and culture will enable diverse populations to be successful, but be willing to invest in training so that you can meet any diversity goals. And then work on building a candidate pipeline. If you're in a position within your organization where you understand what trends in business is forthcoming, start thinking now about what kind of talent pools you're going to need and start working to build an effective candidate pipeline. Do your research. What organizations do you want to be aligned with so that you can tap into those candidates? What types of connections do you need to make right now so that you can, again, build that talent pool, that candidate pipeline, so that when the need comes around, you're already tapped into the right resources. And then again, gain access to expertise. Take a look at companies that actually work within the staffing industry or resource acquisition companies. Reach out to them to see if there's any way that they can help you out too. So at this time, I don't know if anybody has any, Doug Mitchell, attraction and retention policy equals no vacation policy. Take what you need, be smart, and plan ahead. Okay, we've got a comment there from Doug. If anybody has any other questions at this time, please make sure that you type in. But in closing comments here, effective recruitment results and hiring the right candidate for the right job plays a strategic role in a company's ability to develop new products and services and expand into new markets. So our topic today is really critical for the success of your organization going forward. Make sure, by having the right resources to identify new sources of talent, efficiently screen out mismatched candidates, and build strong talent pipeline is critical to the success of every organization's recruiting efforts. By optimizing your current talent pool, organizing and new talent pools, organizations can gain access to skills that support your business goals, build bench strength, and recruit effectively to enhance your competitive advantage. As we say at Manpower, the companies with the best talent are the ones that are going to win. So make sure that you've got a winning talent a winning strategy put in place so that you can effectively impact the success of your organization. So, any other questions at this time? This slide here, just a little bit about the Manpower Group and our organization that we have. Again, we're a workforce solutions company. So really, we've got an RPO service, we've got our professional recruitment team, we've got our right management outsourcing team, we've got our staffing team. So that's the resources that you have available through Manpower. And then what I wanted to give you my information too. If there's any questions that you have about the information that I've shared and want some more details, I can certainly share that with you. Here's my information. Also too, we've got additional resources and white papers that are available that address the talent shortage if you want to see the results of that. And if you want to, we've got some other white papers on optimizing your current talent pool. Check out the manpowergroup.com website. This link right here will bring you right to addressing the talent shortage issue white papers, so you can, that's a link that you can take there. But we've got all sorts of free resources available to the employers, whether they're clients or not clients, it doesn't matter. It's a great resource for you for information about what's happening in the world of work. So. Okay. Okay, Christy said there's a copy of the presentation, which will be available on the website too. So, all right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. And I know it's a busy day out there, so hopefully you have a great day. Keep cool today.